Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order, May 17th, 6:40 p.m. I will defer now to our City Attorney. Madam City Attorney, anything to report from closed session?
Yes, in closed session tonight, items A and C were discussed. Item B was not discussed, and on items A and C, direction was given. There is no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Attendance, please note attendance. Everyone is present. I'd like to have former Mayor Luis Fuentes lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, kids? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This time I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hodge. Please vote.
You want to abstain?
5-0, thank you.
Mayor,
No, I don't.
I should have jumped in, but we're asking for a couple of items to be pulled. So if you don't mind amending
okay.
that motion.
Which one?
We're asking to pull item number 10 and item number 17.
Item 10 and number 17 to be pulled. Item 10 from the consent. Item number 17 from the consent of the Enterprise Fund. Would you rescind your motion, Mr. Romero?
Rescinded.
Would you rescind your second, Mr. Hodge?
Rescinded.
And we will all rescind our votes.
So I'll motion for the amended agenda excluding item 10 and item 17.
Yes, that's your motion, sir?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second?
I'll second that on the amended agenda.
Thank you. Please vote.
Like going
And motion carries 5-0. So the agenda has been amended and approved. Announcements, public comments. Please note that public comments are welcome. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a speaker form prior to the start of the meeting. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. And we have one former mayor, former city councilman, John R. Renison, would like to address the IVC issue.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The last couple of days, I've had some contact with some IVC folks and Louis Wong today and Dr. Gould and Dr. Pearson. And make a long story short, the rumor had it that the IVC Calexico campus would be closed. They're voting tomorrow on this. I know a lot of you will be going up there tomorrow to the IVC board meeting at 6 p.m. Make a long story short, they did come up with a plan, which I have right here, and I'll preview it very close. What they're going to do, they think, if the board adopts the recommendations, is the campus will in fact close that building because it's been too costly to maintain, the rents and all that. However, the good news is Calexico Unified School District has offered total cooperation, trailers at Willie Moreno. You probably heard this, Mr. Romero. And him, and by the way, Mr. Romero and I met with the superintendent a couple of days ago. So it's just kind of been a scramble the last couple of days. But the good news is the 828 students in Calexico will only be affected by, they'll be displaced to other locations. But that might be a good thing because some of the classes will be located at Willie Moreno in some trailers at night and also at the high school. So you might have them closer to where people can access it. The other thing is the day classes, which people were used to going to at 8:30 in the morning because the mothers would drop off their kids at school at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. and scramble to the 8:30 classes. Those classes will now probably be held at San Diego State University. A deal has been struck with San Diego State to utilize classrooms there from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And San Diego State will offer office spaces for counselors and all of that good stuff too. So bottom line, the campus will be closed, yes, but the students will have access to education. There won't be any summer classes because there won't be any summer classes anyway, so it was kind of a non-issue. I don't know if Mr. Romero would like to comment on this or Mr. Wong, but I think that's it in a nutshell. But the vote will be taken tomorrow night. The interested parties could be there at IBC tomorrow night at IBC at 6. Mr. Romero will be there, myself. Of course, Mr. Wong is on the board. I don't know if Maritza's going to make it or Mr. Hodge, but certainly that's going to happen tomorrow night. But we think this is good news. The access is going to be continued, and we're not being dropped and left out in the cold.
Mr. Romero, is there anything you'd like to say on that?
Well, for one, I'd like to thank you, Supervisor John Renneson, for either being one of the leader, taking the lead on this thing. One of the issues that we discussed with Dr. Fergali is that he was not even approached. And with a meeting that we had, that's when he opened up the availability of the school district being able to support this. And it's great news that San Diego State now will also be able to support this project. So the primary concern during our meetings was not leaving the current facility. It was just not being able to offer the classes. And we were looking, we discussed options, and obviously it's great news to what you're presenting.
I think it is, and I think it'll be pretty seamless, and people get... I'd like to take one more minute, if that's okay, on another subject, swimming pool. You're having a meeting tomorrow at 5:30, I understand, on this. Is that correct?
No.
No?
No.
Recreation Commission. Oh, okay, I was mistaken. Anyway, make a long story short, I did speak to Esperanza Colio today of our Economic Development Department, who is available, not tomorrow, but certainly in the near future, and I emailed most of you. I think, Oscar, did you get the email? Yes, and she's available. Maritza didn't for some reason, but I'll make sure she gets it on her personal email. But I will keep you in the loop on any help the county can provide with the swimming pool funding. She's more than happy to sit down with city, with Oscar or whomever he designates to talk about it. The good news is you're not using federal funding. It's, RDA and local funds.
Right.
So she may be able to come up with some, fancy ways of trying to come up with a $400,000 shortfall, or certainly try to do the best she can to find some money for you.
Very good, and I thank you for the IVC update, because I feel the alternative sites that we've provided for them is a great way to get them involved in the community at the same time. And when situations like this arise, cooler heads prevail, and I'm glad I did talk to you, Mr. Wong, about this, and hopefully the board will look at this as a viable option for them.
Yes, as it was going to be, unfortunately, it was going to be a split vote, and we don't want that, because we want just a win-win situation, and we think this will be a win-win.
This is a win-win situation.
so.
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock at IVC. I will be there, Mr. Romero will be there, whoever else, Hodge? Well, it doesn't matter, we'll be there. Try to make it anyway. Thank you, Mr. Renneson, I appreciate your comments. Now we have Mr. Luis Fuentes. Did you want to come up now, or did you want to come up? Because I have Tony, oh yeah, Tony's here also. Antonio Garcia, Calexico High School class of 1976.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council, miembros del concilio, buenos. My name is Antonio Garcia. I'm currently the president for the CPAL, the Calexico Parents Athletic League. We've been in existence for a little over a year now, and as you can see by the fill of the hall here, a lot of our participants are here. We have mostly soccer players now, because basketball is underway too. We have another basketball tournament going on, and we have approximately 800 to 900 people playing there in that league. Soccer, it goes over 1,000 now. We have 30-something teams, possibly more, incorporating all Valley, Heber, Westmoreland, El Centro. Hopeville plays with us. They all want to come and play with us. Right now, I'd like to recognize a couple of our coaches who took a couple of our teams to San Diego over this past summer, last year, and they won their division first place, so much that they're going to compete in the national tournament upcoming in August and July. Okay? First, one of our coaches I want to recognize will be, if I can find it, Mr. Felipe Mesa. Mr. Felipe Mesa coaches the 13 and under, the Eagles, and came in first place in the San Diego tournament, and they will participate in the Nationals, 14 and under, August of this coming year. Good job, Mr. Mesa. Good job. Our next coach, who will coach the under 15 in August, also at the Nationals, is Mr. Enrique Bojorquez. As you can see, folks, we're growing, we're continuing to grow. We have basketball going on, and we're probably going to incorporate flag football. So that's going to come up probably around the beginning of the school year. We have all types of activities going on, and with the continued support of the council, we'll continue to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Appreciate all your efforts. Mr. Fuentes, former mayor, former supervisor.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Moreno, council members, Oscar, Luli, it's good to see you. We also want, besides all the great folks that you see here today, all the kids, you'll see one that is a star that especially shines present day. He came out of the CPAL soccer leagues. As a young man, he was off at tournaments and championships. I was told in 2005, they won in Colorado Springs. They won a championship there. They won numerous championships here locally. He has played with Club America in the Mexican National League. He has also played with Querétaro. He's been invited to play on the national selection, La Selección Mexicana, representing Mexico. He's a bright young man. He's still a young man, but with a bright future and career. He's a role model to a lot of children here in Calexico. These kids look up to him. They hope they can play at the levels that he has played. He's just an inspiration to all these kids. And it is great honor and great privilege, and we just wanted to recognize him when he's able to come home. We wanted to make sure that we say hello, and wanted to make sure we give him just a special recognition on behalf of the Calexico Parents Athletic League. Recognizes Isaac Acuña. For all of his hard work and success as a professional soccer player, your vibrant enthusiasm and energy has been a source of enrichment to the community. And this is just humbly given to you, our native son. So again, this couldn't happen without the support of our city leaders and helping the Parents Athletic League continue to use parks and to continue to contribute to helping our kids stay out of trouble and doing sports. As was mentioned, the basketball league is coming up soon, so we're working on that. We're also helping your city's RDA and the city manager's office, Oscar Rodriguez, with putting together some needs assessments from different parks. We did a couple of them where we identified 10. We're going through the whole list. We did our little part, but we know there's also those that use it for baseball and other things, but we're trying to make sure that the grant application is as thorough as possible. And so, again, muchas gracias, Isaac, for everything that you do for us, and the godmother of sports here, Ms. Carmen Estrada, for continuing to push for all this. La madrina de deportes, la señora Carmen Estrada, por seguir apoyando a todos estos niños que están aquí.
Gracias. Yo soy Carmen Estrada y metí una aplicación para darle el nombre de un parque aquí en la ciudad de Calexico, de Isaac Acuña. Y pues les quiero pedir, pues ojalá lo más pronto posible pues se lleve a cabo antes de que Isaac se vaya de nuestra ciudad, porque yo pienso que él para nosotros es un ejemplo para la ciudad de Calexico, y que los niños vean que sí se puede. Isaac fue un niño excelente en el programa, y en todos los programas que estuvo, él era primer lugar patineta, era primer lugar básquetbol, no nomás soccer. Así es que, por favor, lo más pronto posible, apóyenme para ponerle el nombre al Parque Isaac Acuña, que es Andrade y Rosas. Así es que, por favor, y muchas gracias a todos, coaches, niños, comunidad. Yo estoy para todos los deportes, no nomás para soccer, para todos los deportes. En básquetbol la continuamos la liga 2 semanas, pues con bastantes equipos. Y hay que seguir en lo bueno, y lo malo hay que dejarlo y caminar hacia el frente. Gracias.
And I just want to say, Isaac, I want to say that all the students at Aurora High School are very proud of you. We've got your newspaper clippings on the bulletin board. So come by and visit us one of these days, okay, if you're in town. I'm sure they'd be happy to see you. Thank you. And it's evident by the numbers out here that soccer, basketball, the youth programs are doing very well in the city of Calexico. Ms. Estrada, congratulations. Mr. Fuentes, Mr. Garcia, the hard work that you're doing right now is planting the seeds for these young men and women to grow up and have sports a big part of their life. They'll be members of teams as young boys and girls, and when they become adults and have jobs, they'll be members of teams at that point. So congratulations to your hard work. Thank you. You can count on my support all the time. I'm a sports guy. I don't know about these people. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you. You better believe it. I'm waiting for that day. Okay, we have Miss Liliana Cordova, right? For talking about our firework application.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Liliana Cordova. I'm here to represent the Adrian Cordova Memorial Scholarship Foundation. And my brother is Adrian Cordova, the fallen officer, and my beautiful mother is sitting here as
Miss
city clerk.
Liliana, could you hold on just a second? We're having an exodus right here, right now. We gotta open them doors. Maybe next time they can sell concessions, make some money, huh? Mr. Salazar, Mr. Araujo, Mr. Horton, take a seat. Mr. Kim, you can have a seat, please. Is that yours, Mr. Okay, Ms. Cordova, you may continue.
I'll start all over. Okay. I'm here to represent the Adrian Cordova Memorial Scholarship Foundation, and I'm the sister of the fallen officer Cordova, and my mother is sitting here to my right. We applied for this application because the main objective of our foundation is not only to provide a scholarship for the class of 2012 from Calexico High School, which is where my brother attended, but also to have restrooms at the park that is named after him, and hopefully do some other stuff for that park. Now, upon asking Fire Chief Mercado, we learned that there was a deadline of like March 31st, I believe. And he told us that we could apply in a year from now. However, we need the funding as soon as possible because we want to get started. My brother's park has sat there empty for a long time, and we see a lot of kids practicing, and there's no restrooms for them to use. I've had to go there where my daughter is sitting there, my 5-year-old, and she needs to go to the restroom, and I've got to drive to a friend or a relative's house there. So I think that's something that needs to be done soon. Also, I noticed that the city would be making revenue with this, with us putting the fireworks stand there. I think I'm seeing here $800 or maybe more. So, and I know the city is in need of money right now. And also, I noticed that Calexico Police Officers Association, as well as Calexico Baja Runners, they turned in their applications late and they were approved. So I'm kind of having a problem here, seeing what the issue is with our application being accepted. Because you guys have 5 permits and only 3 were given out, I believe. So, I mean, again, we would bring the city revenue, and you would also be helping us in turn to raise funding. I want to say if maybe, I know that the lady from TNT contacted me. She said that she would approve our insurance, she would do everything, and I'm going to speak to Mr. Hargrave to see if we can actually put the stand there. So once I'm pretty much have all my ducks in a row, I just need you guys to approve this application of ours. And again, I know we're not on the agenda, but maybe for next meeting's agenda.
I would, let's defer this to our city manager and see what we can do about this.
Well, as you know, you have certainly the power to move forward with any of these. Our deadlines have passed. We can certainly meet with the fire chief and find out if they meet all the requirements, if you so desire, and then we can bring it back. And maybe the chief can maybe enlighten us as to the different procedures that we had to go through just to get to this point and what our options are.
Yeah, good evening. I did receive a call from Mrs. Cordova regarding the application, as if there was a possibility of us being able, or them being able to apply. And I did indicate to them that the application period was from January 31st through the 31st of March, March 1st through March 31st. That was extended because of the holidays, so it was the 4th. One applicant did turn it in one day after the deadline. All the others were on time. All applications, as we brought to council, were complete and all met all the requirements. Under the adopted municipal code, I believe that it does say that this nonprofit group has to be established and registered with the state and the federal government as a nonprofit organization, and it must have members of 20 or more in their group. And so the municipal code is very specific. The application has been online. We had a public hearing. There was multiple meetings. So the information was out there. As to its application being turned in and accepted, I have no knowledge of that. But once again, the last week we had our operators orientation meeting. It was a 4-hour orientation where all the operators and supervisors needed to attend and get certified in the operation, the safety, the requirements that we were going to have. So all that's already taken place. We're getting ready here to turn the clock, and June 28th we're going to begin selling fireworks. So there's a lot. This whole process took a lot of time. I don't know if feasibly they can we can make it happen by then, but that's the information I have.
Okay. Questions from the council?
Did they meet the requirements under the municipal code?
The applicants that turned in the...
They're a nonprofit, they have, what were the criterias, or you had just stated?
Yeah, nonprofit with 20 or more members. I was at that meeting last Wednesday, and there was quite a lot of people there at that meeting.
There was over 60 people that attended the in-service. As far as the application for Ms. Cordova, I haven't seen it. I don't know what it is that she has or what she has turned in. I have no knowledge of that, so I can't answer.
I would say it's worthwhile maybe to have a talk with her afterwards and see what we can work out, just to, because my question would be why an application had been submitted on time. Was there maybe a failure to reach the requirements, for example, the 20-member in the group, or having been established, or if you're okay with the IRS, those kinds of questions, I guess, and it may be a little too many questions to ask now.
No, I believe we do not have an official application because we did not take one because it was after the deadline. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes. Yeah, yes. I didn't receive an application, so I don't know.
Yes, we do not have one.
No, I didn't submit one yet because I tried to get a hold of Mr. Rodriguez, I believe, through Erica, and she said that they couldn't accept my application until I came here and spoke to you first. And I did speak to the lady about the meeting. She told me I did not have to attend, that she was going to send me a video and the paperwork because I wasn't approved yet. But she did tell me that she's got all that information for me. I speak to her like almost every day because she's just waiting for me to turn in those papers so that we can get the insurance.
So you have the application, right?
Yes, I do.
You know, one thing that I do want to make very clear is that distributors of the fireworks don't direct how the operation should work in the city. The city officials make that decision. She is a vendor, and she shouldn't be giving direction as to how to handle this. The city has procedures in place that should be followed. It's just my personal opinion.
I respect that, Fire Chief. But this is new. This is the first time. So my position is tending to be a little more liberal or flexible here. As long as it wouldn't be an inconvenience, I do understand the importance you had. What would you want to call it? An orientation that took 4 hours. But if she meets the municipal code criteria that you stated, and if there's any way that she could catch up on that, I feel this time only, because we make mistakes, we miss information. This time only, I think we should let her come on board. Next year is a different picture. We hold firm. We learn from this. That's my opinion.
You want to say something?
Yes. So you have the application with you right now, right?
I do, and the only reason we didn't submit it is because we've been a foundation now for a while. We've been raising money since my brother passed away with tournaments and such, but for a while, they were giving that money to his children, and it wasn't until last year that we decided to give scholarships, but it just took us a while to get the actual tax ID number, which is what a nonprofit organization needs. We just received it 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and you already here, Mr. The fire director, Mr. Mercado, fire chief. You hear the requirements. Do you think you can meet those requirements?
Yes, sir, we have more than 20 members.
Okay.
Would it be opening up a can of worms if the other application that we did not accept would then complain to us because you're accepting this one and not accepting the other one?
You know, the process works where the applications are received by City Hall. They're reviewed by the fire chief and the city manager, and the recommendation is based upon the clearance and acknowledgement of all the required documents, and decision ultimately made by the city manager. Yeah, there are some requirements, and whether that would open up an additional amount of people to apply for those extra two spots, it's unknown. It could possibly open up where the 3 groups that are already been approved and went through the process and the training could complain because now they're profit sharing with the other organization that wants to sell, or other organizations that want to put their hat in, because there was a few of the ones that requested applications after the deadline, but I told them they couldn't. The band boosters for the city of the high school, and one of the nonprofit churches as well. But I don't have a clear-cut answer on that.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Well, I think that you do open it up. I think that's a simple answer, because if you're going to open it for one, then potentially you're going to open it for anybody who comes in, and we have denied some people. So you just need to be aware of that we could get some more people coming in.
So we have some applications that didn't meet the requirements, so that makes sense to turn them down. But we also have some applicants that just didn't meet the deadline.
There was applicants, I would say, I would consider someone who actually filled out a physical application and turned it in and received either an approval or denial. Some had just called to base interest in it and say, hey, where do I get the application packets at? I'm interested. And then it turns out that it was past the deadline, so none were turned in, specifically the band boosters for the high school.
And so those that turned it in under those circumstances, we don't know at that time whether they were qualified or not.
Correct. We received only 3 completed applications.
Prior to the deadline or after the deadline?
2 prior and
one
then
after.
1 after the extension.
Okay, so then there was already one allowed after the extension,
Correct.
after the extended deadline?
Yes, because of the holiday, the Cesar Chavez holiday landed on a work day, so
Okay.
there was confusion.
I know some time has gone by,
So-
but the one that was allowed, there was no uproar about, from the others, right?
None.
So a precedent has already been set. Is it safe to
Well,
say?
you have a difference here, and she mentioned a little while ago, she barely obtained her IRS number 2 weeks ago. Way, a month and a half after the deadline.
And because this is not on the agenda, we cannot take action on this, Mr. Rodriguez?
That is correct.
Okay. So at this point, my question is, what next? Do we allow, or do we direct?
Well, you would have to probably go to a future council meeting, because it's an ordinance,
And
and you have to
change the ordinance,
change the ordinance.
or appeal decisions? To consider this item?
I think if you were going to be bringing it back, one of the possible options is waiving the requirements of the municipal code for that applicant, but again, that would be a discretionary decision, but it would need to be brought back
To a
on the
future
agenda for any action at all to be taken.
Well, that sounds reasonable. What are the actions of what are the wishes of the council?
We can't do anything right now, so go forward on that.
Well, you can give direction. If you want us to look at it, we can look at it. If you don't, if you're telling us that, I mean, there's a couple of options. You can say, the code is the code, and we're going to follow the code, and therefore, no. Or you can say, look at it, and, you know, as the attorney has said, you're going to have to waive it, because the code does have deadlines on it. I mean,
I say look at it.
I would say that too, just because this year we are learning, and I know deadlines are deadlines, and it is important to try to stick to the deadlines, but because of, all nonprofits are important, but this one's kind of special to the city, I guess. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, then that's what we'll do.
So we need to have an application tomorrow, and then the chief would look and see if the requirements are all there, and either they are or they're not.
Okay.
So my question would be, should I recall the other organizations that called and requested participation in that as well?
They have to.
I think that's the only fair thing to do.
Okay. So just for information, there are total of three now. So
For
that's 6 applicants for 5 permits.
Okay, but we already got 3,
So you're going to be saying no to somebody.
right? So you have 2 permits and 3 applicants. Okay, what do you flip a coin, odd man out?
It's whoever meets them before.
It's not a first come, first served basis at this point?
Well, they were first.
There's
But you can't
there's
use
two
that, they were
applications
first.
left, and whoever, I guess, completes it first and is approved by the city manager.
And we should, okay. But I think for next year, it's got to be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, an ordinance has been set,
Yeah,
and it has to be followed.
right.
Now, given that this was the first year, there were some allowances and some leniency to the dynamics of the whole process, and I think we've been understanding of that. But I think that there has been a lot of time and effort put into this policy, which is a very solid policy and very structured. And our first year is always going to be rough. A second year, a little less rough, and hopefully by our third and fourth year, we'll have this system down, and all the organization will be lined up March 1st, ready to go with their applications. And we're resilient in that fashion, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, I'll talk to Ms. Cordova as soon as this is over with, and we will try to coordinate another session with the TNT Fireworks to come down and do a capture of all the other individuals that need to be there for this training as well.
Chief, do we know who the other ones are, so we can call them tomorrow and give them that opportunity?
Yes.
Okay, and we give them 24-hour notice to get their application in, and then we do a quick review. Either they have the information or they don't.
Okay.
And complete applications.
Yes.
Okay. All right, how's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Cordova.
Thank you. And before I leave, I do want you to take note that on this inter-office memorandum sent by Peter Mercado, Fire Chief, the Calexico Police Officers Association, they still hadn't submitted the proper documentation by April 26th, and the Calexico Baja Runners couldn't prove that they had been organization for the last 12 months, and they still got approved. So I don't know if you guys want to see this too.
No, that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have now from the EDC update, former mayor, Councilman Alex Peroni, and Mr. Ben Horton. EDC, is that what I said?
Yes.
Okay.
Economic Development Commission. Honorable Mayor John Moreno, Honorable City Council. We just want to give an update because a lot of people, there's a few commissions in the city, and I want to tell you we meet. We're always present at our meetings. We all are committed for the economic development. And we've come up with proposals that we'll present to you. And I want to recognize also Eric Ortega as one of the members. He's sitting right there next to famous Louis Wang. And he's also present in every meeting. So we were thinking, what can we present to the city that will sprawl economic development? And because, you know, there's not much development going on in the whole Imperial Valley. And we thought, okay, we can propose reducing fees in commercial development, reducing fees in residential development. And you would probably think very quickly, oh, then we'll lose out in the city. We won't be collecting fees. I think the reaction from developers and investors would be very interested in the city that's reducing their fees for the reason it'll make it more attractive, more appealing for them to come and build and develop their projects. And the city, what would the benefits be for the city? If we sprawl development, you're building, so you're creating a tax base. You're gonna tax the building, the property, so the city will make money on the tax base we begin to create, be it residential, be it commercial. Another benefit would be construction jobs. You know, there's the unemployment continues to go up here in the Imperial Valley. Well, we would start creating jobs for our community and for the Imperial Valley. Also, it would create jobs for the private sectors, depending on the industry that would come in. And, you know, when investors or any type of developers go by a city, what they see is rooftops. If they start seeing that Calexico has a lot of rooftops, houses, they say, well, we have available income, available jobs, available labor. So this will create our economic development. So a lot of times, in Calexico, we've been, either the newspaper says it or they say only in Calexico. Let's take advantage of the only in Calexico and say only in Calexico they are business friendly. Only in Calexico they're creating jobs. Only in Calexico they're doing economic development. And only in Calexico the city council is forward thinking. So let's take advantage of that only in Calexico, because I'm a very proud citizen of the city, and I'm very proud of our city council. I truly say, with all sincerity, we have a very good city council, and I see the city going in a good direction. We have a new city manager, Oscar, is doing a great job. And again, you know, our city employees, a lot of times we forget to really appreciate and be grateful for the jobs they do. You have very good staff. You have great employees. And I work through all the Imperial Valley because we have projects in Brawley, we have projects in Imperial, in El Centro, and when you're in Calexico, they really make you feel at home. So we have to capitalize on our human resource. So, and all that said, you know, only in Calexico, okay? And now our Vice Chair for the Economic Development, Ben Horton, will say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Peroni.
Thank you.
I have to concur. Only in Calexico we have the finest people and the greatest citizens. One of the things that we're working on, and I have to point this out, is the event center. We do have somebody, a developer, that's looking to open the event center and to move forward with it. He'll be contacting the city manager and working on that part. One of the other things that we propose is, not to get too close to this microphone, is to have a consumer affairs. Not a consumer affairs that would look to, let's say, to persecute business, but to work with business, to give new ideas, and to show that we can work with our customers and give them direction to work with. Another thing we're proposing to do is to invite the new publisher for the Imperial Valley Press to our meeting on June the 8th. And then we hope that that would give a better presentation of what the city is about. This is something a little different, but we're going to be working on it. Then afterward, we're going to have a luncheon at Family Style Buffet by invitation only with key people from the school district, from the county, and from the city of Calexico. These are new directions that we're working on in order to give a better perspective of what the city is about, but let's say to give a positive perspective. And we work as a family. We are a family. We may have our little moments of shortcoming, but we are a family. As a part of this city, we work together to make this city into the greatest city in the valley, if not the state and the country. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Very good idea.
Thank you very much for the report. Thank you.
I'm supposed to say that, Mr. Hodge.
Go ahead, John, say it.
Take the mic away from him, please.
I have another one below here.
Point of order, Mr. Hodge. Hector Araujo, clean up. He wants to be mayor. Thank you, Mr. Araujo.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, and staff. Hector Araujo, Division Manager for Allied Waste. I don't have any trophies to give out today. I feel bad, but in the next few weeks, we'll be giving out 3 $1,000 scholarships to our high school students, and I expect to see some of you guys at the awards. We're pleased and happy to do that. On another note, on April 9th, we had our spring community cleanup at the Public Works Yard. We dedicated 240 man-hours, used over 10 trucks. We picked up almost 100 tons of debris. That's debris we kept out of the alleys, out of the streets, and out of your backyards. In total, we saved the city over $10,000 in tipping, disposal, and labor expenses. I think it was a great success. Every year, more and more people use it. Residents were extremely happy to be assisted at the cleanup. We were actually there. I don't know if some of you go there, but we help people unload their trucks. Little ladies or just individuals that come in by themselves, we actually help them get the work done. We expect to do another one in the fall. We'll be working with your staff to set a date, and we'll see you in the fall.
I have a couple of questions. Maybe I would address it to you or our city manager. Several places of residence or areas in the community, maybe private, there seem to be filled with a lot of trash. Have those residents been advised, and have they taken part in the program? Because sometimes when people have a trashy house, it causes a nuisance to the community. Has our code enforcement been out there looking and trying to address some of these issues?
Yes, our code enforcement team is out, and along Cole Road, there's a lot of vacant properties out there that we've already cited. I'll be providing you with a report, but some of them have up to 2 citations. We go up to 3 citations, and there's a procedure. We have to take a legal procedure to get it done. But yes, we are out there, and we certainly refer them to Allied. If they ask us who to go to, we give them that information.
Okay. And even in the residential areas as well?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all. Any questions? You go ahead.
We push our bulky cleanup, our bulky efforts. People can put out bulky items for free. Some people take advantage of that. That's a huge plus. and we work heavily with Public Works and Code Enforcement. And right now we're working on a huge recycling push with your staff. I wish to come back and report the success. It's been a success already, but I don't have anything prepared to speak to that, but we're definitely working on that.
Well, good. I'm just looking for some follow-up because I know guys are doing a great job. 100 tons is quite a lot of
Quite a lot.
rubbish.
Thank
Right.
Thank you.
Almost as much as you get up here. No, I'm just kidding.
It's different.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr. Araujo.
Yes,
Yes.
excuse me, I have a question. Do you think is there a possibility that instead to clean up the city in spring, instead one day, can you guys offer another day for the next year? Because I know there's so many people. I know you guys make a lot of promotion. You guys use the newspaper, the radio, and there are so many ways to communicate to this community. But at the same time, people need more time. So I ask you, for the future or for the next year, make the effort instead one day, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, when some people are not going to work or they resting. So I ask you for that.
I understand, Mr. Castro. We do we think is sufficient outreach. You have radio spots. We have the newspaper. We have these flyers in English and Spanish. We gear up for it months or weeks in advance. A lot of people attend. I want to say hundreds of cars come in, some of them multiple times.
Yes.
What we can do is, because we've tried it in the past for several days. and
Yes,
for
I
some
remember
reason-
that. How many days was on the past?
Once we did it for 4 or 5 days.
Yes, I remember that.
But the cleanup, the efforts were, and the results were better when we do it for one whole day. Everybody knows about it and they go there. Otherwise, they just, everyone is set is going there. It didn't work all that well. This time it was extremely efficient, well planned. You got some great land on there, and we put out a lot of containers. We had a self-serve area for people that didn't want to wait or had people on. We had an assisted area, a green waste area, a metal area. What we can do though is we can push our bulky program harder. That way, if you have anything to dispose of, just call us up and we'll pick it up in front of your house. And we can do that year round. Every week, every month, 12 months a year, instead of just like a 2-day cleanup. We can push that harder.
And that's gonna be extra, or is
It's already included in our
it's already
agreement.
included on the bill?
And I think people can use it 4 items once a month, I believe. 4 items once a month.
Okay.
So, and that's free. All they have to do is call us up, put the refrigerator or the couch or the mattress on the sidewalk, and the trailer will be by and pick it up.
Okay, that sounds great.
So
Thank you,
we'll-
sir.
We'll work on the outreach and we'll let people know.
Okay. thank
Any
you,
other
sir.
questions for Mr. Araujo?
I do. When you switched the date for pickups for the north end, remember that it used to be on Wednesdays and you switched it to Tuesdays? How was that outreach conducted? Because I know that in my area, we were very confused. I knew because I sat here and I listened to you say so, and I reached out to my neighbors as I could, but I noticed that a lot of people didn't. And I actually, not to complain or anything, but I really didn't see any advertising about the switch on the date.
We did some outreach. We did newspaper, radio, and door-to-door flyers. We think it was a success. There was a little bit of a confusion.
A little bit of confusion.
But when you reroute 56,000 services a month, if you get a couple hundred people county-wide calling, that's a good deal right there. I mean, that's a lot of people changing days, and overall it was pretty good. There were some people confused. There always will be. I think we controlled it the best we could. Is there something we could have done better? Yes, there was, and we know what it is now. We tried different things in the past. Fortunately, it only happens every 5 years or so, or whenever it calls for it, so that won't be happening anytime soon.
But so far so good as far as switching the date, because I remember you said that you wanted to have like the next day so that anything that was not taken care of on the Monday for the other areas could happen that next
It's
day.
worked perfectly. The first 2 weeks a little rocky. After a couple of weeks, people catch on, and then it's business as usual. So
Good.
thanks to council staff and the city that we made it happen.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Araujo, for all the work that you're doing with LRT Waste. Thank you, Mr. Salazar, as well. We have one more public comment. Mr. Jung Kim.
Hi, my name is Jung Kim. I'm as a citizen of the Calexico. I have a comment for the last time I was talking about the the major H money about the crossing guard of the children's. And I digging the numbers, what we spent it around $120,000 year round, all the crossing guard cost. And we used to have 50%, but last year the city participated 25% only, and city spent around $35,000, and district spent about $115,000. So, I'm sorry, the rest of the city, rest of the money we spent from the district, the whole cost was $120,000. Cities participating last time 25%. But I understanding year before they was participating 50%, and last year city, they made the decision because city was deficit. And they said that that money spending from the general fund, they can be no longer participated. And the district have to take it because the city said we cannot do it anymore. Regardless the district has money or not, they have to take over to 100% they participated. And now we're talking about the different resource, which is a major H is that for the safety matters we stated. I know there are several safety and youth, recreation, and even they put on the general fund. But that purpose, main purpose was the safety of the community, the safety of the children. They crossing the street as a state, and I believe the city has to be considered to participate in half of the cost of the crossing guard. And what I was trying to say, let's say if the kid's sick, who taking care of it? For mostly cases like a mother taking care of take the hospital or to the doctor. And one day mother cannot do it, the father cannot say, well, that's your job, we're not gonna do it. Regardless, who's responsible of the children's safety from the school to the home? Still children's at the street of the city of Calexico. I believe that children's the safety entitled to use the major H money. And can I see as a little for the board member? I didn't submit it in.
You want to speak as a board member?
Yes.
Yes.
As individual board members. Me and 3 or more board members we attended meeting on the Sunday and yesterday at the Sacramento about the budget issues. And we had a chance to review all the budget review from the governor, and we found a lot of information on those. We have about $6.6 million more coming in. The revenue was increased, and they were saying is they're going to have a more chance to release the deferral. I believe that Mr. Renison went there, but they're going to put more money for the secondary level education too. And we have a little more better news on it. And I believe if we push together to helping the IVC students, probably we can do it. And as a board member, I will full support in case they need a school facility, or if they need help from the Calexico Unified School District, I'll be one of the fully supporting on those. They deserve to get service. And also we was talking about the Ms. Norma Aguilar is here, and then we was recognized by the assembly meeting. And also we met the Mr. Perez, Manuel Perez, about the grant riding, and we talking about the swimming pool. He is aware, and he's fully assist our city to get through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. I agree with you regarding the crossing guards. I know I brought it up at a school board meeting at one time. I know that there's certain ed codes regarding students going home and coming from school where the school is responsible if there is misconduct. However, I think this needs to be a collaborative effort with our city and our school district. I have been around some of these schools. When they let out, there is nowhere near enough crossing guards. I want to refer to the Sherman and Blair intersection where the 9th grade students are leaving, and they're all over the place. Traffic backs up even for 5 to 10 minutes, but I mean, it's something we need to study, we need to look at, and to see if there's a collaborative effort with the city and the school district, now that the Measure H is here, to see what we can do to better provide that type of service for our students in our public schools. So I just want to give that information for the record. Well, this is item number 13. Okay, thank you. And this is public comments. Norma Aguilar.
Norma Aguilar, 839 Heber Avenue. Just to follow up on the comment you just made, Mr. Moreno, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I've been observing. There's a preschool on Heber Avenue, right next to Emerson Park. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, right there.
And I just want to bring it to your attention. There's no crosswalk there. There's a lot of parents that are bringing preschool children across, to drop them off at the preschool, and it's really worrying because sometimes I see them take the child out of the car, place the children right next to them, next to the car on the street. Okay, so I just wanted to, you're talking about a collaborative effort. That's probably something that should be addressed by council or the city and the school district, because that's a liability waiting to happen. An accident waiting to happen, and liability.
And I've seen the way the cars on Heber
Zoom
Avenue in
on
that
here.
morning, they're not going 25 miles an hour, they're going
That's
about
right.
35, 40 miles an hour.
That's correct.
Right. So I agree with you on that one. And Mr. Finley, I know he's on deck.
I used to live on the corner there.
Yeah.
I used to see it all the time.
And just one more thing, the same thing applies for a crosswalk behind Jefferson for right now that it's being reconstructed. People are crossing, but there's no crosswalk.
Okay. I'll have Mr. Finley address that. Thank you, Ms. Aguilar. Appreciate your comments.
Good afternoon, Council. Nick Finley, General Services Director. There is a crosswalk at Clark and Heber, and we also provide them with a crosswalk sign, safety sign. So there is one there. The parents choose not to utilize it, and they walk down the street. That's beyond our control, but we do have a crosswalk there. It's on the north side of Clark and Heber, and we also gave them one of those signs that they roll out in the morning, and then they put back in the evening. So, but you know how parents can be. They just don't want to take a few more steps.
That is on school property, that daycare, so it's probably run by the migrant, Head Start or somebody like that. Maybe they need to be addressed, who's ever in charge, about where the parents need to park and drop off their children.
But is there a crossing guard there?
No.
No, there is a crosswalk and there is a sign. The daycare that's there is in charge of putting that sign out and putting it back in, and that's one of the conditions that we gave them the sign to put there.
Little kids going across there, maybe a crossing guard would be an improvement.
They're with the parents, because you're talking, these are toddlers, these are five and under. These are 5 and under kids, so the parents are the ones that are just jaywalking across the street instead of walking over to the crosswalk and utilizing the crosswalk. So,
And I think we should make as a school board member, direct who's in charge there so they can outreach to the parents.
And for the condition of the other crosswalk that she mentioned over at Jefferson, it's not allowed. It's in the middle of the block, and the chief denied it. So that's why there is no crosswalk there.
Okay, crosswalks have to be at the corners,
Right,
or
even though they have a-
intersections.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, okay, so that's the reason why there's no crosswalk there.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. Okay, moving along, we've got the consent calendar before it. Oh, I'm sorry. General comments by city council members. We're barely there? Do you want to skip that one, or?
No,
do-
I have.
Mr. Hodges has something to
It's
say.
short, John.
Okay.
Calm down.
Okay. It's all right. Go ahead, Mr. Hodges.
Thank
Unless
you.
Mr.
I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Did you want to say
Ladies
something?
first.
No, it's okay, we'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Hodges.
At Risen Park, I've been told by Chewy, the gentleman that's been really improving, putting that softball park in there, and that the storm drains supposedly are plugged up, and it floods everything.
No, that retention basin serves a purpose as to when there is rain.
It goes in there.
That is what the job it does. It retains the water so the homes don't get flooded. So the water will go into that retention basin, sit there for a period of time, and as the demand decreases out into the line, it comes back out. So that's why we tell them we
It's a
don't like
retention
calling these
basin.
things fields or parks or turning them into anything like that, because when we do have a rain, they're doing their job. They're going to be flooded.
So what you just described, is that why, if I'm understanding, why the storm drains are closed, or is that something?
No, they're
separate?
open. The only thing
They're
is
open.
that the demand of the water is so large when we do get a rain, that's what they're made for. So when the pipe exceeds its capacity, the water fills back into these retention basins, and as the demand decreases, then they're let out. That retention basin there is the last one in the series before it gets to the drain at the All-American Canal. So the one on 5th and Andrade has to empty first. Then the one over by Daniel Gutierrez has to empty. And then the ones by Meadows and Whole Ridge have to empty. Then that one on Sapphire, which is a Joe Risen. So they work in series. The closer they are to the drainage at the canal are the last ones to drain, because they work in series.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Castro?
No comments.
Mr. Romero?
I just want to give kudos to everybody that was involved with the Mariachi Festival. It was a pretty good event. I was there Friday, I was there Saturday as well. The Garibaldi students from Southwestern College, they get a very good performance. I also have to give kudos to that, what was that, Mariachi de Jalisco from Los Angeles. Mariachi Estrella de Jalisco, Los Angeles. Anyway, they were very entertaining, mixing up a little bit of comedy there with along with their performance. And also, Director Friendly, some time ago, several months ago, you gave a update on the plans on how the streets are going to be improved. I want to bring it up again. It seems like Cole Road between Imperial Avenue and Pollo Loco, what used to be the Pollo Loco facility, is in it's in worse conditions right now. When can you make a presentation to see how your plan is going? Because I know you had a schedule of the projects. And if I'm not mistaken, if it's not the busiest street, it's one of the most busiest streets.
Yes, it is, and that's one of the things I was talking to the acting city manager about earlier, that's the street that's on top of our list. So we'll be looking at bringing that before you right after summertime, because we don't do any street overlays during the hot months, because it's not feasible.
Okay.
So that'll be coming forth. And we are going to be, we're asking for a grant to conduct a feasibility study as to the condition of all our streets, and then have them put a list of prioritizing, so that way you just say, well, what criteria am I using? I normally use my own criteria, seeing which streets are more transited, which ones are in the worst condition, and which ones require the immediate attention. However, getting an outside source will have blank eyes and blank ears, and maybe make a better determination and that's what we have come to. But I will be coming forth with you on that, especially that street. As to we're doing all the improvements onto the west side of Cole Road, we also want to improve that east side.
All right, thank you.
Just,
I'll-
if I may add to that, just following up on what you said, tonight you have the PTA grant, which is a Planning and Technical Assistance Grant. Assuming that you approve that, we'll submit that. We feel confident that we'll get that money, and that's the $35,000 we'll use to put together a 5-year plan that we're going to bring back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you say it's to put together a 5-year plan. I thought there was a plan already in motion from some time ago.
There is, but that 5-year plan is being expired here this year.
Okay.
So we're going to put together a new one.
Also, Mr. Horton, which I don't see right now, mentioned something about this person that could help out with some grants at the last meeting. I did have an opportunity to speak to this person, and what he does, he could assist in obtaining some grants through foundations. It's not necessarily through the state or through the federal. And these kind of grants are more on the lower scale amounts, not 500,000 or $1 million, more like 10,000, 20,000, stuff like this. And afterwards, I'll share the information with the city manager. Maybe it's something that the city can go forward with. He's a retired military person who, I believe he said he's retired 3 times, so the fee itself is not anything significant. And since one of the biggest issues or concern has been the parks, as well as with former Mayor Fuentes working with CPEL on these 10 parks that are out there to find out their needs and assessments. So maybe this is something that can also be working with that project.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to give a lot of praise and thanks to the Mariachi Committee that put on this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday Mariachi Festival, a signature event for the city of Calexico, and of course city staff, our city staff, PD was out there, also members of the Park and Recreation that were helping up clean up. So they did an outstanding job. The weather was great. I know that Councilman Hurtado and all our councilmen were there at various functions throughout the festival. I'd also want to congratulate or thank Mr. Victor Rodriguez for the newsletter on the quality of the Calexico water. I got this in the mail. I did a good job of reading it. It was very high-level science, but I kind of picked up on it. But I'm glad to say that the water standards that the city of Calexico meet or exceed the standards set by the state of California. So congratulations, Mr. Rodriguez. Outstanding. I'll be drinking. I'm not buying any more bottled water. I'm drinking the water that comes out of the faucet. And also, I want to invite my fellow colleagues to the League of California Cities that we're hosting next Thursday at the Cultural Arts Center. First time in a long time that's being held in Calexico. So please join me and the rest of the mayors and council members from the County of Imperial for that most important event. Thank you. Moving right along, we've got the consent calendar. I believe we pulled out number 10. So is there a motion to approve 1 through 12?
I'd like to pull number 5.
Okay. Pull number 5. 10 has been pulled out completely, so we're not going to worry about that. We'll vote on 5 separately.
And if there's no other, I'll motion 1 through 4, 6 through 9, and
11 and 12.
12.
Okay, there's a motion 1 through 4, 6 through 9, 11 and 12. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Hurtado. Please vote. And motion carries 5-0. Number 5, approve resolution setting appropriations limit for fiscal year 2011-12 at $22,316,044. Mr. Romero.
Mayor, the only reason I'm having this one pulled out, I would like to have the finance director or the city manager explain how this figure came to be for the public's knowledge. I want to make it very clear that the amount that is shown here is not what will be available.
Okay.
I'll give a summary and I'll let finance director go through the calculation because it's a requirement of the state constitution. But yes, we want to make that very clear that appropriations limit is set at 22 million for the coming year. We currently are running somewhere in 15 or 16 million, and this is for general fund monies, which means we couldn't spend over that amount. Now, obviously, when you have recessions, we're actually going the other way. So the appropriation limits continues to creep up, and our general fund revenues actually go down. So we're obviously pretty far away from reaching our appropriations limit. I wish I could tell you that we're very close to reaching it, because that would give us probably another $5 million, and we wouldn't be sitting with unions asking for takeaways. But having said that, I'll let the finance director go through the actual calculation.
Actually, the calculation is based on a base year of 1978-79. You don't see all of that calculation because each year you use the population from the prior year. So you would have multiple pages of this if you had the entire calculation. So all we're providing you here is the current year. But it's a difference in the population factor, which allows you to increase the amount annually by a certain percentage. And the appropriations limit, in our instance, we have about a $16 million budget, so we don't even come close to reaching the limit, which is $22 million. So I'm not sure exactly, there's not a lot of point in trying to go through the complicated calculation, but as you can see here, you use the prior year, which would be, in this case, the current year, because we're setting the appropriations limit for the following year, and then you just apply the change factor, which is a percentage.
Thank you. Okay. Again, I just wanted to make it clear to everybody that this is not what the city of Calexico was looking forwards a budget for 2011-2012.
No.
This is just a cap that can be spent for any monies that are received.
3 or 4 years ago, we came much closer to reaching the appropriations limit, but not anymore.
And that the realistic amount actually would be much less.
For our
Yes.
budget for
Yes.
yes, that's true.
All right.
Thank
Motion
you,
for its approval.
Thank you, Ms. Hashem, and motion for its approval by Councilman Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hodge. Please vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 13, hold public hearing, adopt resolution to approve submittal of application and contract execution of funding under the CDBG Grant Planning and Technical Assistance grants. The State of California Department of Housing and Community Development, Section Economic Development, has published a notice of funding availability under Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. The department sets aside part of each annual funding allocation received from HUD for planning and technical assistance grants. The department is using the PTA grants for 2 programs, General Allocation Program and the Economic Development Program. And the application will be submitted by May 25th. Is there any background information, Mr. Rodriguez, on this item?
Yes, this is an item that we brought to you, I believe the prior meeting, and you held the first meeting, the first public hearing, which was a public hearing to receive input from the public as to what they wanted us to look at for potential applications. If you will recall, one of the items that was brought to our attention was a fire station. And the reason you do not have that being recommended is because it was to research a study on siting a new fire station. If you remember the backup information that we provided, the application could be for a rehabilitation of an existing fire station, not the siting of a new one. That's why it's not on there. The 3 particular items that we do have before you and we are recommending is a business infrastructure needs assessment for $35,000, which is a maximum. That would hopefully give us the information on what kind of elements we need to assist businesses, whether it's site selection, whether it's financial assistance, whether it's technical assistance, whatever those are, this study would hopefully give us that information as to how do we help businesses. So that would be one. The second would be a master plan on street improvements. That's kind of what we mentioned earlier, so that we can hopefully identify the streets by priority and have some kind of an objective review of our street system and set them up on priorities and then bring them to you so you can approve them, so that way it's done objectively and it's not, doesn't become an issue of we selected such and such street because we like that street or we like whoever lives there. It would be more of an objective with the different factors on why we're selecting those streets, and probably a point system. And then the third item is the exterior housing conditions survey, and that survey would give us information on our housing stock in reference to dilapidated type of housing, what condition it is, what level it is, so that then we would use that study to go after funding, whether it be for rehabilitation or actually a first-time home buyer or whatever that case would be, because now we would have a current survey on the actual condition of our housing stock. So again, these are items that will give you a study which then you utilize to do something else. And that's what this planning and technical assistance grant is. And so what we're asking tonight is you hold a second public hearing on our request to submit this application and then move forward with the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for that fine summary. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing at approximately 7:55 p.m. Anyone in favor of this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I have one, Mr. Jung Kim. Are you in favor or against?
Well, actually, sir, I was first of all questioning this one is regarding of the swimming pool.
No.
No other grant for the writing for the.
This is for assessing certain needs in infrastructure.
Specific needs.
I'm sorry?
Specific needs.
Specific needs, business infrastructure, master plan for street improvements, and exterior housing for those houses that qualify.
I don't have any pre-knowledge of those.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim. Anyone in favor of this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing that there is none, anyone who is not in favor of this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing that there's none, I will now close the public hearing at 7:57 and bring it back to our council.
I do not have any comments.
Any comments, motion, action?
Motion to approve this.
Motion to approve by Mr. Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hurtado.
Just for the record, you have a resolution, so we're adopting the resolution, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're adopting the resolution. Hold public hearing, adopt resolution, and approve submittal of application. Moved by Mr. Romero, seconded by Councilman Hurtado. Please vote. And it carries 5-0. Item 14, acknowledge overtime reports for the month of April 2011.
Acknowledged.
Acknowledge. Anyone else?
I have a question. On the summary of overtime for fire safety. I don't believe fire chief is controlling his overtime enough at this time. As I see it, I don't see it that public safety is trying to control overtime enough. For the way I see it, is still out of control.
Could you be more specific, Mr. Castro?
I'm talking about the summary of overtime.
Right, and what exactly are you referring to?
I'm referring to the overtime. I mean, there's no. I didn't see no. The director. I don't see he's trying hard enough.
Well, please state some facts before you make an opinion and before you criticize him, let's just state some facts first, please.
Okay. Since July 13 to 10, he started with the overtime of $31,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 10 months that already been passed. And the last pay period that I have here, we are talking about $23,000 overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And my point is, I don't see that the fire chief is trying hard. He's trying hard enough to control the overtime. That's my point. Every pay period, I have here the list, and there is, for me, there is too much overtime. If we add at the end on the.
And I believe Mr. Chief Mercado has given us explanations at prior meetings as to why, and he has explicitly expressed concern about meeting the budget amount for 2010-11. And it's because of shortage. Is that correct, Mr. Chief Mercado?
Yeah, correct. We continue with our staff shortages. We've had 4 employees who have either resigned or retired. We've had 2 employees who have been injured, 2 are which awaiting disciplinary action. So there's a total of 7 vacancies right now that we have to kind of cover for. With the hiring freeze with the city right now, there is no opportunity to hire new employees. But we will be bringing you an item to try to remedy those vacancies with potentially accepting a grant.
Yes.
Or being considered for a grant. So that's the manner in which we're trying to take care of it. Some of the overtime that you referred to, Mr. Castro, is some that we don't have any control over, which are paid holidays. The employees have 11 paid holidays, and you're paid overtime whether you work or whether you're off. So that's a bargaining unit that's included in that figure. The fire department does cover mandatory staffing assignments, which are 8 a day, and however we can fill those, we're going to try to fill, because that's the need for our community. 2 fire engines and 1 ambulance. So, without the additional personnel, we still have to maintain the level of service to our community. And right now we're doing it with the use of overtime.
Okay. In city manager, already here, fire chief, what are you doing to avoid or to control this issue with the overtime? I mean, I want to hear from you.
Well, one of the things that, as Chief Mercado has already mentioned, we hopefully will be before you at your next meeting, first meeting in June, and we will be presenting a recommendation to move forward with what's called a SAFER grant. It's a federal program that assists public safety firefighting to either maintain or try to maintain a critical level of service to the community. As Chief Mercado has mentioned, we are low in reference to firefighters that we have on staff to be able to meet our minimum requirements, staffing requirements. Under the SAFER grant, we will be asking for 4 firefighters that the federal government pretty much takes care of the first 2 years, and then typically they would require you to take care of the 3rd year. We have made a petition to the federal government whereby, because of how we put together the application, we believe that we won't even have to pay the 3rd year. So we're going to be bringing that to you at the next meeting. By obtaining those 4 firefighters, we will be able to staff the different groupings with enough firefighters that if somebody is ill or not available, we won't have to call somebody in, because we'll have enough firefighters that we can still meet minimum staffing levels. We, in our current budget that we're going to be producing hopefully in June, assuming that you approve the SAFER grant and we can get people on board, which we are moving forward on that by moving forward on recruitment And as setting up the eligibility list, if you will recall, it's been in the paper about how we're moving forward with with recruiting. And what we're doing is we're setting the eligibility list so that if you do approve in the first meeting in June, then I think we got about a 30-day period for them to approve our request, and then they give us 90 days to be able to hire these people. So we should be in a position to have an eligibility list that we can pick them right off of there as soon as it's approved and put them on staff. By doing that in our current budget and our budget for 2011, 2012, we had cut our overtime, if I remember correctly, 110,000 is what we reduced that overtime by bringing in these firefighters. So that's one of the issues that we're moving forward on to try and cut the overtime. The other issue that we're looking at is we're looking at doing a cost-benefit analysis on whether or not we should retain the 28-day work cycle or potentially go to a 24-day work cycle. And the analysis will show that there will be a savings if we do that, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40,000. So when you add these two together, these two actions, if we implement, then we're hoping to save in the neighborhood of $150,000, $160,000.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, City Manager.
And a point of order, I would like to remind Mr. Castro not to be overly critical or give personal attacks based on opinions to our department heads. I believe that's the job of our city manager, to meet with them, and we just stick to the facts here. So please avoid that, Mr. Castro, in the future.
First of all, I'm not
Thank
attacked. First of all, I'm not attacked.
Point of order, Mr. Castro. I told you what I think should happen, so we'll leave it at that. Our next item is Arts Commission minutes, regular meeting, April 7th, 2011. Do we acknowledge receipt?
Acknowledge.
Any questions? Moving right along. Financial report for April 30th, 2011. Item number 16.
Acknowledged.
Acknowledge receipt. Thank you. Okay, going on to the item 17.
18.
That was
17
pulled.
17 was pulled. Item 18.
18 and 19 are consent.
18 and 19, we've got for the redevelopment agency.
Yes.
Is there a motion to pull any item or approve?
Motion to approve both items.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. Please vote.
It's not in there.
There it is. One more time.
What happened?
There it is, 5-0. And going on to the future agenda items for City Council. We'll start to my immediate left with Ms. Councilwoman Hurtado.
With regard to the Measure H decisions that we made a couple of weeks ago, we did not make any decisions how to allocate some of those monies towards our Parks and Recreation needs, nor did we make any decisions with regard to the seniors' needs, which was part of what Measure H was all about. So we made those decisions about safety, fire, and police, but I would like to see if maybe we can have a discussion, maybe some decisions made on the other parts of what Measure H was for.
Okay, good
That's
point.
one. The other is that I know that tomorrow there's going to be a meeting for the Recreation Commission, and this meeting is going to be a combination of discussing, I believe it's the grant application for the parks, and then there's going to be a pool update about what's going on with the pool, and that would be here tomorrow at 5:30. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the meeting. But I'm doing my best to try to outreach and tell everyone that I can, because I've been involved in the sports programs here in Calexico for a long time. But I would like to know if maybe next time we meet, because I believe it's going to be 3 weeks from now, if there would be a way to have some kind of a report what was discussed in that meeting, because I know that there has been a certain amount of groups that have been involved in these meetings about the grants, but I would like for that to be a little more widely spread out and known more by the general public, because the last meeting that we had, there was very few people that showed up. And so I know that we've been working really hard with everything else, all the other business for the city, but this is a really important part too. And I know that many of us are very involved with these needs. So if we can have a formal update and report about what's happening with these for example, these 2 meetings that we've had so far.
Okay, very good. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Hodge?
I believe we do have a strong consensus here on the importance and priority of parks and recreation. So, and you know, recalling at the very beginning of the meeting, all the young people out there that are involved in sports, and the young soccer player that's outstanding, Acuna. So with all that in mind, and we have different youth sports programs, I would like to request, maybe this is not the proper term, but a prepared agenda, possibly, for a sports summit. I think it's long overdue. What this would be involving the city council, city managers under Toller, Nick Finley, and anyone else that city manager you would see fit as a major stakeholder. And then all of the independent youth sports programs within the city. This will evolve. We'll get better at understanding before we have this, what would be the main purpose. But I believe the purpose of this summit is to have a dialogue, to discuss, and listen to the concerns of these various youth sports programs in the city, and to hopefully create a closer, more efficient relationship between the city, Parks and Rec, and these various independent sports programs. In other words, in a nutshell, can we help them more? Do we really know what they need? We need to listen to them. They're doing a fine job. They're struggling. They're getting the job done. It's very, very important to the youth out there. And I can see we have a real movement here. The pool, the meeting tomorrow, the grant. So I think it's time for this. That's it.
I agree with you, Mr. Hodge. I think that's an excellent idea. I'd also like to make sure that we include the school district, because they are very important stakeholders as far as facilities and as far as where they're going to end up at finally. Mr. Castro, do you have any future agenda items?
Yes, I would like to help the students to go to the schools. So I want to talk about major age, how to help the schools to either with money or to help the cross guard to do their best job, best dedication, and I would like to make sure that the measure age help us. So that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. I agree with you. I think it's important that we work together collaboratively with our school district and the city, and getting more crossing guards out there through the help of Measure H, I believe. And I think that's a great idea. Mr. Romero.
Yes, one of the things that you both of you mentioned regarding recreation, I will add that there's one entity that is being ignored, and that's a Recreation Commission. I would like to see this summit that Councilman Hodge mentioned be funneled through the Recreation Commission, since that's their primary responsibility. And then from the Recreation, from whatever fact-finding they go through, then maybe their chairperson can come in and make a presentation before this council. That would be for that. Get the Recreation Commission primarily involved, not necessarily with city staff, but with these people that we all appointed to be part of this. Second is Mayor, which was part of the meeting that I attended in your behalf regarding that resolution, that for the jet fighter squadron.
The Naval Facility, yes.
If that could be part of the next council meeting.
Okay. And I'm sure Mr. Rodriguez got a copy of that
yes,
sample resolution. Okay. And perhaps an update on that graffiti issue I mentioned at the last meeting, where private owners who own title to land, that they're responsible for cleaning up their graffiti. And I know that we're going to look into it. I know Jennifer Line was going to look into it, but she's not here. So hopefully for the next meeting, we can see if there's a city ordinance and enforce that. I know there is. And if that's not all, I mean, if that's it, yes?
I'd like to propose the budget reviewed by the governor's budget released by the Assembly Budget Committee. I happened to pick up the 24th page of the information. If you have any council member to have like that, I can send to email.
Yes, could you please send it to all of us? Okay? Thank you. And this meeting
Mayor,
now is, yes.
Did you want to make an announcement in reference to our meeting with the BIA? Our meeting with the BIA,
Oh,
the casino issue?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, Mr. Romero and I were there, and it looks like the casino's moving forward. We're waiting for the Bureau of Indian Affairs to approve our application, and then from there, it looks like there may be a groundbreaking.
well, from there, they'll take it to the Washington DC for the federal agencies to support it and approve it, and then it'll come back to the state so they can then
And because,
lobby the state.
is there a possibility because we're in a economically depressed area that could be at the top of the list? Is something to think about, something that maybe we can lobby or push for?
Yes, if you recall, there's still some documentation that needs to be provided for the application, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that within 30 days, a full application will be submitted. Then that goes to DC with a recommendation from the state director of the BIA for California. When it gets up to DC, then certainly we're going to have to use all avenues to try to convince them that they need to approve that.
Right.
And after that follows the lobbying with the state.
Right, if it's issued, the gaming license, off-reservation gaming license is issued, then it comes back to the state in order for the compact to be put together with the state. And then, of course, once they put that compact together, then we can move forward with the actual movement, with the actual construction.
Okay. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.